everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all good. Today I'm here to show you this smoky liner. Wow, didn't mean to do that with my hair. But yeah, I'm here to show you this smoky liner, super grungy, sultry makeup look. And we used the Vieve palette, so love. It's so, why is my mouth whistling? I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, if you want to see how I got this look, I also do my skin in this tutorial as well, so if you want to see how I got this, then just keep watching. So today I thought I would bring you a nice like smoky liner tutorial, and I'm going to be using the Vieve palette, which I love. So Matthew got me this for Christmas, and he got me this, and he got me the Cash. He actually got me a lot of eyeshadow palettes for Christmas, but he got me this and he got me the Cash Beauty palette, and I was like, oh, I don't need both, like they're both really similar. But then he let me have a sneak peek of this, and I was like, I kind of had it in my head, I was like, oh, I don't want it, it's not really that great looking. You need to see it in person. Even the packaging, like the packaging is a main reason why I was like, no, actually, do you know what, I do want it, give me it please, thank you. But it's divine. Like, look, by the way, I have used this isn't like a first impression kind of thing. I've already used it, I already love it, I already know when normality comes again that this is going to be a really used palette of mine. I actually think this would be beautiful as a bridal palette too, but it's not going in my kit, absolutely not. It's for my personal use only, okay? I might use it on my sister on her wedding day, but other than that, that's about the height. So I kind of have a look in my head. I also want to do my base in depth today. Also, I'm not as tan as I normally am. I did my tan a wee bit differently this week, so I usually tan, and I would tan in the morning and leave it on until the next morning, so I literally have my tan on for like 24 hours. Love it. It's super dark, but I only tanned like 10 o'clock on Saturday night, and then I washed it off at like 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, so as you can imagine, the developing time was not quite there, so I'm actually feeling really pasty pale, so I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for your eyes, but I'm wearing ultra dark, which is usually, I am usually dark, but not today. So I was going to put a bit of instant tan on, but then sometimes it's just too much effort of a life that I don't really want to live. So yeah, I'm going to get straight into the tutorial now, because I always do this in my intro. I always ramble for way too long, and this isn't even meant to be an intro because I'm not going to be filming the intro when I've got makeup on. Oh, I feel like there's coconut milk or something in this. It's not normal. This is not normal milk. I refuse to believe. It's British milk. I don't like it. I need to set that away. Hopefully that's close enough. I also always do this thing where I hunch, and I think it ruins everything in my makeup tutorials, to be honest. So I'm really sorry about that, but I need to hunch into the mirror, and it's really hard to get the camera set up where I want it to be. So how beautiful is my plant? I watered her today. So I'm going to go in with the Bperfect Perfect Prime. I've already primed my eyes, but I'm just taking a wee tiny bit more of this just so my eyes are nice and wet for application. And I always pat this out, or else actually not always, but most of the time I pat this out with my Colourpop E13 brush, and I just literally pat. And I like to get a little bit of air in there while I'm patting, so like pat, make sure you're lifting your brush off the skin. Look at me doing a really in-depth tutorial. I actually feel like I kind of want to do like really in-depth tutorials, but I also want to have like a wee bit more like, it's really hard. I say this all the time, I need to stop. I just need to stop talking about my YouTube at this point, because I just can't really decide what I want to do with it, and I feel like part of me wants to do one thing and then part of me wants to do another, and then I'm like, oh, but then you need to have a niche, and then sometimes I'm like, screw the niche, just do what you want to do and just enjoy it. So yeah, I have a constant struggle. Oh, I'm gonna go in with this brush. I haven't used it in so long. Okay, yeah, so I want this to be kind of soft through the crease, but then obviously a lot smokier on the lid. I don't even know why I'm paying attention to this eye. Go away, please, we'll do after off camera. So I'm going to go in with the shade Buff, and I'm going in with a BTY 510 brush, and what I'm going to do is start wiggling this, pressing and wiggling this through the crease, and taking it from the outer corner into the inner corner, but not fully into the inner corner. I'm just kind of still strengthening up that colour, Buff, and I'm kind of starting to tickle the edges so that we're diffusing that colour. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with a, do I want to use this brush? I'm going to use this brush anyway. If I want to go in a bigger brush I can do. I'm going to go in with the shade, I want to say Chayo, but there's no H in it, so I don't know. We're going to go in with that shade on a Sigma E36, and what we're going to do is blend this 50% over the top of the shade Buff and 50% above. So slightly on that shade, slightly above. I'm just using small circular blending motions. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to go in with a clean blending brush and just kind of soften over the edges, just to make sure that there is no harsh lines. Also, I need my eyebrows done. What's new? So, okay, I actually just went off camera and I did this eye and kind of caught up to where I was on this eye, and then I also decided to kind of give myself a bit of a idea of where this is going. So we're now going to do the same on this eye. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit more Buff and just make sure it's nice and deep. And now what I'm going to do is go in with a Colourpop cream eyeshadow in Agave Bloom. So it's basically this wee nudie cream. Another thing you could use for this is like the P. Louise blank canvas paint, but I'm using this just because it's a little bit more creamier. And what I'm going to do is pack this on the centre of the lid. I'm taking it kind of from the inner corner almost 3/3 of the way across, and I'm just packing this on with a Colourpop E25 brush. Also, when you're doing this, you kind of want to make sure you're taking it above your crease so you can still see it when your eyes are open. The way I'm kind of doing this is almost taking it in a half cut crease shape, but obviously I'm not actually cutting the crease. Well, I suppose I kind of am, but I'm doing it like a soft half cut crease. I don't want it to be structured. You totally could do this structured if you wanted to and it would still look gorgeous, but I want it to be kind of more a softer look because I'm really enjoying soft glam at the minute. And then what I'm going to do is go back in with the BTY 510 brush, and I'm just going to soften the edges just with no extra product, just whatever's left on the brush of that cream shadow. And then what I'm going to do is take a Anastasia A16 brush, and I'm going to take the shade So Shy in the palette, which is like a creamy whitey shade. And I'm just going to pack this directly over the top of where we put that cream base. Then what I'll do once I've done that is just go in with the shade Buff again and just soften the edges of that shadow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in with a Vieve 226 smudger brush, and we're going to go in with the shade Delicious in the palette, which is a nice dark chocolatey brown, and we're going to almost create a winged shadow with this, but we're not worrying to be too neat, just basically smoking this along the lash line and winging it out slightly. And once we've applied that and we're somewhat happy, we're going to go in with a Sosu X Keely SK06 brush, and we're going to go in with the shade Goodnight, which is the black in the palette, and we're going to literally do the exact same step that we did with the dark brown, however we're just taking this slightly lower this time. And then what I'm going to do once I've done that, I'm just going to go back in with the brown shade again and just kind of go over that black, and we're just going to literally go back and forth between the two until we've got like a nice smokiness that we're happy with. And again, don't worry, at this stage you'll probably have a lot of fallout and a lot of messiness. It's going to get cleaned up, so don't panic. Now what I'm going to do is go in with the Inglot 77 gel liner, and I'm taking this on a BTY 514 brush. So it's just a little angled brush, so any angled brush that you have. And all we're going to do is literally pop a black liner on where we've applied the shadows, but obviously taking it that bit lower down. I also brought that liner a tiny bit into the inner corner, but I actually have quite a lot of fallout in the inner corner on this side, so I'm not really overly precise with it. Then what I'm going to do is go back in with the shade Goodnight on the Kaylee SK06 brush, and we're going to pack this over the top of that liner, further smoking it out. I'm also going to take a tiny bit of that brown shade and just smoke over the top of that again. What I'm going to do is clean this up now with a wipe, and it will kind of show me how it's looking. So what I like to do is just pinch the wipe around my nail and just kind of scoop under the wing. They're probably not completely even, but my eyes aren't completely even either, so no judgment there please. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab my concealer. So I'm going to go in with the Born This Way, Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Seashell. And I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of this on a JA C2 brush. And what I'm going to do is just sharpen up my wing with this. So obviously we've cleaned it with the wipe, but we want to get nice and close to it with our concealer so that whenever we're doing our concealer on our face, we're not going to mess it up. Probably not a good idea to talk when I'm trying to do that. And I'm just going to soften that out with a fluffy brush. So obviously that makes everything a lot more sharper. I promise this will look a lot better when I have lashes on as well. So I'm now going to go in with a tiny bit of the Bperfect Perfect Prime just underneath my eye as a base. And I'm just going to use the same Colourpop E13 brush to blend this up to my lash line, just so that my eyeshadows have something to smoke into. What I'm going to do now, go in with the Inglot 77 gel liner, and I'm taking this on a pencil brush. And I'm just going to take this literally right in my waterline. And then what I'm going to do is go in with the shade Delicious on a Vieve 238 brush, and I'm going to use this to smoke that liner out. So all I'm doing is going back and forth with the brush and smoking it out. I'm going to go in with a really old Morphe M507 and the shade Buff, and use that to further blend out the previous shade. I want to try to make sure that I'm keeping the bottom lash line as dark and as smoky as I possibly can. So I'm just going back in with that shade Delicious, and then I'm going to go in with the shade Goodnight and really pack that on. I want this to be like really sultry. This is kind of giving me Kim Kardashian vibes. She always used to wear like a really heavy under eye smoke. So it's very Kim K vibes. What I'm going to do now is just take a little bit of that shade So Shy and pop that in the inner part. I'm actually going to go in with a bit of Glimmer, which is the little sparkly shade, just to give us a little bit of sparkle to this all matte eye look. And what you want to do with this as well is see if you just take it in here, it's going to kind of really open the eye up as well, because obviously we've really closed the eyes down, but we want to just have them just a tiny bit more open. And then what I'm going to do is go back in liner. Okay, so I've just done this underneath of the eye, and now I'm going to go on to my skin. So we're going to start with primer, and for my primer I have been loving the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Primer. This is just really good. I think I said in a previous video I haven't actually tested it, obviously longevity, like during the day, to see if it actually does keep your makeup on any longer, but it does definitely fill in my pores. I'm just going to take this down kind of my T-zone area, and I actually like to take a bit on my forehead too. I have a really wrinkly forehead and it's something that really bothers me, so I actually feel like this does kind of smooth it out. Obviously it's a pore filling primer, but I do feel like it fills in the lines a little bit too. Obviously not an exstantial amount, but it definitely does work to some extent. The only thing is I actually feel like I prefer this if I was applying it like first thing after applying my moisturiser, I apply my moisturiser like as soon as I get out of the shower and wash my face in the morning, so obviously it sinks in and my skin gets a little greasy. But other than that, obviously when I'm back to work and stuff, I will be applying it straight after because I'll be doing my makeup straight after, whereas these days it kind of takes me a while to get going, you know. After I applied my primer, I then go in with powder. So the powder that I've been loving and using recently is the Beauty Bakery Flour Powder. It's really good. The only thing is, I'd say if you like baking, be really, really careful with this. You could get a very dramatic white cast. I'm just taking an Anastasia A23 brush and just setting basically everywhere where I've applied that primer. Just kind of packing it into the skin. And I feel like because the foundation I'm going to use is generally quite, in my opinion, luminous. Now, I've heard other people say it's matte. I'm really oily, and for me it is I'm so oily and in no way it is, like, it's not matte. It's not matte, but it is a beautiful foundation. Now I'm just going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter in the shade 5. I am so obsessed with this product. Like, I generally, as soon as this runs even remotely done, I will be going and buying 10 more. It's also something that I actually really, really want to have in my makeup kit. I don't, and I'm not spending any money on my makeup kit at the minute because obviously everything that I've probably bought in the past year is now expired, so that's annoying. But this is just such a good product. I'm going to apply it while I rave about it because then we'll be here all day if I don't. I just, whenever I'm doing like a makeup look like this, I just pop it on my like outer perimeters on my face, and I also pop a little bit on my forehead. However, I really, really do love this as a foundation. Not obviously for Instagram looks or anything like that there, but I love it as a foundation for like general like day-to-day wear. For me personally, I don't actually really wear a lot of makeup. I'm just blending that in with a Colourpop E32 brush. Yeah, for me personally, I don't, if I am gonna wear makeup, I just literally threw that brush across the room. BRB. It hit my poor little dying plant, so that's fun. So for me personally, I don't really wear a lot of makeup day to day. Like, most times if you ever see me, I probably won't even have a pick of makeup on. Yeah, I don't really wear makeup day to day. Obviously if I'm in work and stuff like that there, because of my job I have to. But if I was going somewhere and I wanted to look relatively presentable, I would literally just wear this as my foundation, buff a little bit of Nars concealer on, and you're good to go. Now for foundation, I'm going to go in, give it a good shake. This is something you need to do with this foundation. If you don't shake it, it's not going to be very nice. So yeah, I'm going to go in with the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and I'm just going to take a couple of pumps. I think I took 4. The pumps in this are quite a short pump, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to use the same brush that I used to apply my Flawless Filter and just really work it into the brush and start patting it on. So when I actually first used this foundation, I hated it. And I'm a real, like, I love Nars products, but I really, really didn't like this foundation. It didn't last on me. The first day I actually wore it, it was literally like 2019. And I was in church and I had a little cry that day, so that was fun, but it did not last. And normally a foundation, if I like have a little teary eye, like, it's fine, whereas this one, it didn't. It came up off on my forehead and stuff, so that's why I'm really like, I really make sure underneath this foundation is well secure, you could say. But I actually love it. I loved it. I fell in love with it on clients, so kind of clients that were slightly older, or if I had a client that had extremely dry skin, I just thought it looked great on them, and no one ever told me that it didn't last. Everyone was like, yeah, makeup stayed on perfectly. So yeah, and now I actually really love it on myself for doing looks. I take a very, very light amount of foundation around my forehead because, like I said before, you gal got extreme forehead lines, so I literally take the smallest amount, and I always pat my foundation. I feel like patting gives the most coverage. I need to do my eyebrows so badly. They're so hairy. Do you know what it's been? I haven't threaded the past couple of times I've done them, and I've just got these peach fuzzes around them. So I actually qualified in HD brows in September of last year. Haven't really got to do it on very many people at all, but yeah, I have basically just been doing my own, but I'm too lazy to do the threading on myself. So yeah, that's fun. I'm going in with my Too Faced concealer in Seashell, and I'm just going to take this, so I kind of take this slightly down the sides of the nose, inner corner area, and then I just take a wee snip there. This is pretty much the way I'm pretty sure most people are concealing now. I love it because I feel like you don't get like too much of like a crazy amount. Always down the nose, and then a little bit in the centre of the forehead, like so. I actually like to leave my concealer to set a few seconds as well. I'll have a glass of water while I leave it to set. Look at me, I lit a candle for you today. How nice of me. So what I'm going to do is go in with my Real Techniques 402 brush, and I'm just going to start by patting and blending this out. I'm trying to keep it focused on the areas where I've actually applied it rather than like over blending it. However, here I like to take this a little bit further out to kind of sculpt under. I can't wait to finish filming just to go and attach a hot water bottle permanently to me for the rest of the day. My cramps. I honestly wasn't going to film today because I get the worst. Like well no, I don't get the worst. I know there's definitely people out there that probably get way worse, but I do get really bad period pains on like the first 2 days of my period, and like I don't want to go into too much information because yeah, but like it's bad. I have really bad periods. Whenever I used to work in Inglot, I remember I actually had came off the pill and my periods got so excruciating. Like they were so bad. Like it just was like I couldn't be in work because I would have had to go to the toilet every single hour. The pain that I was in, it was not normal. Now don't get me wrong, they've kind of settled for the extent of like the pains. Now the pains are still very bad, and like the heaviness. Why am I getting so over talking about this? But yeah, they're not as bad as they used to be, but I do still have pretty bad. But like I wouldn't let it affect my work as I did before. Like I've since like I've had to sit and teach a makeup lesson, be in excruciating pain, running to the toilet constantly and being like, yeah, I'm really sorry, I gotta go. But I always explain to my lessons, I was like, look, I have the worst, I'm suffering today. So yeah, basically I wasn't going to film this video because I was like, oh, I'm in so much pain, I just want to stay in bed. But I was meant to film yesterday and it was way too windy, so today it had to be done. And I'm really sorry if you get really awkward talking about periods and I'm just sitting here wapping about periods. I mean, I think we should be able to talk about periods. Yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with me talking about it, I'm sorry. But something I actually really want to do a video about, but I also think I should probably get doctor advice before I do. I feel like, I don't want to self-diagnose, but I feel like I suffer really bad from PMS. And I actually watched a TikTok and it said like it's not actually normal to suffer from PMS, but like I feel like I suffer mentally. I definitely suffer physically. Like before my period I get the worst, like I mean the most excruciating headaches. I get throat aches, like honestly awful. So yeah, if anyone else has like any PMS chat or would like me to do a video on it, let me know, because I feel like it's not really something that's talked about. So yeah, I'm now going in with my cream contour and I'm using the shade Chestnut Maroon or Moron in the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation. It's basically a foundation, but I'm using it as a contour, and I'm using it on the PC21 brush, which is my favourite brush ever for contour. I really want to try the Molly O'Brien one, but I actually want to use it as foundation because it seems quite dense. So yeah, if anyone's tried that, let me know. Also, if anyone, I'm just taking this under my chin and then forehead and cheekbones, so you can kind of follow along and see what I'm doing. But if anyone has any recommendations for a really good cream contour, please let me know, because I don't really like this one. It's not that I don't like it, like it's fine, it does the job, but it's just I usually prefer my cream contour to be a little bit more intense than this, and it's just not really, but yeah, it's just not really quite what I would want in my cream contour. Like I really have to build it up. On this camera it'll show it as if it's so intense, because this camera sees everything differently than how the human eye sees it, or my human eye sees it, I should say. But yeah, don't judge. If my makeup ever looks bad on this camera, it probably looks fine in person, but my camera's just a bit weird and over exaggerates everything. I'm just going to take a bit of that on my nose. I don't really have a fancy schmancy nose contour routine. Sorry about that. I know some people do, but I have a really wonky nose, as I'm sure you've seen me cry about and talk about 100 million times, but I can't really perfect a nose contouring routine because of how wonky it is. So there's that. I'm going to go back in with my Beauty Bakery Flour Powder. I also don't think I mentioned it, but I use the shade Oat Translucent, and I'm taking this on a Peaches PC27 brush, and I like to set underneath the eyes with this brush, and this is such a good brush for setting underneath the eyes. And I also take this all down the T-zone with this brush. I feel like it kind of really makes sure that you're setting those areas very good, if you know what I mean. And then once I've done that, I'll just go in with a fluffy larger brush and set everywhere else. I'm now going to go in with my bronzer, which I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Island Ting bronzer. And I'm going to use this on a BTY 505 brush, and I'm literally just popping my bronzer everywhere where I applied my cream contour. So with this you want to be really light-handed. You can kind of pat it in. I kind of pat and blend. Go between the two. It sometimes depends on what bronzer I'm using. Okay, so for my nose contour I'm going to take a very small Benefit Hoola, and I'm just going to literally just go over where we applied the cream contour very lightly. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me powders, and I use the shade 105 and 220. They actually have a lot more shades in this now. However, this is my own personal one. I've got a lot more shades in my kit, and I just never brought them home. And what I'm going to do is pack under my eye with this. So this is going to really brighten, and it's also going to pinch in my nose, and it's going to give me like a lifted highlighter effect. And I like using these over the top of a normal powder rather than using them on their own. You'll probably see I did a all matte makeup look like last year. That video actually did really well, and I used these in it, and from then on I've just been so, I was kind of addicted before, but even more so because I really used them to sculpt the face, and now I'm so addicted to like all matte makeup as well. Like I'm just not really a highlighter girl anymore. Then I'm going to take, I don't always do this, but today I'm going to, and then I'm going to take the Beauty Bakery Flour Powder down the sides of my nose, just like that. And I'm actually, am I going to dust this away immediately? Yeah, I'm going to dust this away immediately, just because that powder doesn't actually really sit very well when you bake it, and I'm not really a baker anyway, but it just gives me like a nice snatchness. And then I'm going to go in with the Colourpop padding, I don't know, that's what it says, blush, so that's it there. And I'm just going to take this, I like to put my blush literally where you would put your highlighter, obviously making sure it's really well blended into the bronzer, and I feel like this has massively changed my face. Okay guys, so I just really quickly did my brows and my lashes. So for my brows I used the Anastasia brow pencil in the shade dark brown. I haven't actually used this in ages, but I love this. It's super creamy, really easy to use. So yeah, I'm coming down with brow pencils, like I have way too many, it's actually ridiculous. And then for my lashes I used the Teddy Lash in the style TL6, which I think are just perfect for this look because they go shorter in the inner corner and more winged in the outer corner. If I was going to do this again, and I had an extra pair of tail sticks, I would have cut them slightly differently. I've cut the inner corners and not the outer corners, so I feel like they'd look even better if they're really short in the inner corner and really winged in the outer corner, but yeah. And then I used the Bad Girl Bang mascara. I used this in a recent like new like makeup collection products in a video, and I love this. Like, I can't put this down. It is so good. They've actually just launched a new mascara too, but I haven't actually got around to trying that, but this is flipping amazing. It honestly gives me bottom lashes that I didn't even know I had, and no mascara does that, so that's good. So I'm gonna highlight my nose with MAC's Oh Darling, which is just my go-to for nose highlighter, and I'm just gonna use a old Morphe E17 brush, and then I'm gonna go in with the Morphe Spiffy lip pencil. I honestly hate lining my lips. Like, I feel like it's the worst, it's an annoying thing to do. I think I just hate doing lips in general. Then I'm going to go in with the Jimmy Genevieve Vieve lipstick. I love these. I actually got the Jimmy Genevieve MAC lipstick whenever she did that, and I honestly have never been so obsessed with lipstick in my life. I think she just knows a nude shade so well. And this one's perfect. This is Treasure. So it's nice peachy, and the thing is my lips are so dry. And when I put a lip on, I always like to take my finger and just kind of pat it in. Well, not when I put a lip on, but whenever I put a matte lip. Okay guys, so that is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you learnt at least a little bit something from me. I really love this look. I feel like it's so fierce. It'll be perfect whenever we're allowed out of the house again to wear out. My hair is disgusting. Like, it's actually stuck to my head right now, so that's kind of ruining things. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely evening, and yeah, I'll see you again soon.